This video is brought to you by the FARMER-KLEIN YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another map first impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at SARUTOMASA. This map can be found over at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game mod hub, and as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for PC only. But before we get into the map, this video is brought to you by Jeff Reed. Thank you for being a farm baron. So let's read a little bit of the description. It says, welcome to the SARUTOMASA map. The map has one farm, 65 fields, 2 forests, new ground and tree textures. This map is seasons prepared. It does indeed have a seasons mask. It is also precision farming ready with a custom soil map. The map includes 2 sell points and a lot more, according to the description. Now, this map does have a required mod listed in the single family house by Gold Fox. Let's go ahead and load on in. We're going to make sure that we pick the required mod as well as the mods that we typically use when we take a look at these types of maps. We're going to pull on up the log and watch the map load on in. I will say, if you load this map up in farm manager mode or start from scratch, none of the farm buildings will exist, but the farm equipment will remain. So that is kind of an interesting aspect of those 2 play modes. So here we are, loaded into the map as our career start point. Go ahead and take a look around. We do have our single family house here. Now, this does not have a sleep trigger, so we place our own sleep trigger on this map. So I think technically, if you didn't want this particular house, then just don't load in that required mod. Now, something else of note is I'm not really keen on this grass. It's just, it just is weirdly textured and colored. Almost feels a bit blown out as far as just its overall color and shading and everything. I mean, overall, the map lighting isn't bad, but this grass is just... what is up with this grass? At any rate, let's go ahead and take a look at the map. Zoom on out, and we'll go into the lands area. You'll see that we start out by owning just the farm here and field number 1 up here to the north. Now, this map seems to be kind of Polish general style in the fact that we've got some long, narrow fields here, but then we've got some massive fields, like field 26, 127 acres in size, $3 million to buy. But then there's this little field 61 just carved out of the middle of it, 2.48 acres, $60,000. Got several little sliver fields just across from that, and then we have big field 60, again 53.3 acres in size. Do have a viable biogas plant down here in the southeast of the map, $174,000. One of the viable forests is right next to that. Then we have the typical unbuyable land that we can indeed buy for $5,363,000. So quite an interesting mix of land prices here. Almost 5 acres field, $117,000. We have all of our standard crops available to us here on Farm Sim 19. And as you notice down here, wheat, for some reason, is showing up down here in the southeast where we have the BGA. You don't see wheat growing up down here, but it's showing up in our crop selection screen. So that's something kind of interest to note. Let's go ahead and take a look at our custom soil map. You see we have a nice mix of all the various soil types pretty much swirled around the entire map. A good little swath of loam here. We got some silty clay swooping down through the south part of the map, over up on the west and back to the north. big chunk of the middle of the map is sandy loam and loamy sand. We have 3 main sell points, irregardless of what the description said of 2 sell points. We have 3 main grain sell points. We also have a sell point for our cotton and wool in the spinnery. We have 3 areas to buy our eggs and milk. Then we have the barn for our hay, straw, silage, and grass, should we happen to not own the biogas plant. And it appears that I forgot to activate straw harvest, but typically the barn is going to be where you're going to be selling those pellets. If we take a look at our starting equipment, we start out with a nice list of starting equipment. All of it is owned, none of it is leased, and it's fairly low hours. We do not have any cows at the start, even though we do have a cow pasture here on the main farm, and we do have contracts available. Let's go ahead and take a look at that starting equipment. We start out with the Valtra A104, 100 horsepower, and the Fiat 1300 DT at 150 horsepower. We have the New Holland TX32 harvester that is paired up with the TX32 header. We've got a pair of HW80 trailers. We have the POH5 plow and a Salford 4204 plow with a Horsch Tiger 6 DT cultivator. The big TT subsoiler here, 320 horsepower, but what? We only have 150 horsepower tractor. So that is kind of an interesting choice for kind of subsoiling equipment. We've got the Amazon D830 seeder. We have the Kuhn Delta sprayer. We have the Kuhn Axis fertilize spreader. We have the FarmTech Superfex 800 manure spreader. The Garant VE8000 slurry spreader. The Kuhn side mower and the Vicon tedder. For the Pottinger windrower. And then we get into the placeables. We have the big cowshed, the small bunker silo, warehouses, and our single family house. Now, if we take a look here at our placeables, if we happen to sell the big cowshed, or we want to place another one down, or we start out on Farm Manager or start from scratch, we can indeed buy that back. We have our single family house here under miscellaneous because it does not have a sleep trigger. We do have our custom silos that we can put down. We have the custom warehouses that we can put down. And again, we do not have a custom sleep trigger, so you're going to have to put one of those down should you so wish. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of tour around the main farm here. As I said, this map is kind of in the Polish style. A lot of these buildings are really kind of showing their age, I think, with respect to their exterior and interior textures. Here we go. This is where most of our farm equipment is going to be. And again, if we start this map up in Farm Manager or start from scratch, none of these buildings are here, but our equipment is indeed still here. We've got the big TT subsoiler. I'm not really sure why we own that if we don't have the horsepower to pull it. Same with respect to this. I believe this requires a fair bit of horsepower. There were 2 plows hidden here in the shrubbery. There are 2 silage bunkers. Let's just go ahead and make sure that we have our triggers here. We do not. I mean, visually they're there, but why are they not showing up on my F1 screen? Is it happen maybe on land I don't own? No. So that is one interesting aspect of this map, and we're about to walk up to a very other interesting aspect of this particular map, and that is this building. Let's just hope you don't have to go into it, because we can walk up here. You can see we can open gate. Now let's go back. All right, we got our F1 popping up here. Let's go back. Let's give it a fair shake. Nothing. Nada. Don't count on those to work. Any rate, let's open our gate. What? That's right. And it's not even like it's teleportable. I can't even warp through it. All the doors on this building are just like this. They there's an animation there, but it's like there's two gates. And we can never get into the building. Luckily, though, there is nothing on this building, so we can't really have to worry too much about it because our tractors are outside of here. So here we have our two tractors. We have the horse pen or the horse pen. We have the cow pasture right here. And let's go ahead and open that. 180 cattle in this particular facility. We have our straw in here, and the straw trigger is going to be right here, as well as the food trough. We have our milk trigger located right here. We use the animal pen extension mod, and this Lily milk sales machine is a part of that particular mod. This helps us locate, one, where the milk trigger is, and two, to see if this map would happen to have custom support for the animal pen extension equipment, including the milk sales and the water trough, which we are going to get to here in a moment. Now over here, we seem to have a duplicated food trough trigger. And again, our straw trigger is extended over to there. On the other side of this pen, we do have our water trough. Again, the blue valves are part of the animal pen extension mod. We have our manure and slurry spreaders over here. We have our slurry point and our big manure pile right there. And that, guys, is pretty much the main farm. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up to do our fly around, and we'll take a look around the map, land down at the shop, and then do a bit of a drive. Let's go ahead and do a little 360 rotation here of the map. Now, just down below us, we do have kind of an AI farm. There's no active triggers, anything. All of that is just a decoration. We have another little bit of forest up there, and that is actually where the sawmill is. Now, this may look like a very big map, and it is indeed a large map, but it is not 4X. This is a standard-sized map. These power poles and power towers that are crossing the fields, they indeed do have collisions. Let's go ahead and run on into one. You saw that we were somewhat deflected there. So these do have collisions, so that is something to note if you are looking to use hired help, horseplay, or something to that effect. Just kind of go ahead and look across from south to north. Got these big fields down here to the south. Over here we have our biogas plant. We have one of our sell points and a fuel station down here, as well as a lime area. If we progress up the eastern edge of the map, we'll get to another set of sell points. Yeah, we can kind of look across now the map, east to west. Down here we have one of our sell points, and I have to say we're going to see a closer angle of this during the drive around, but I'm really curious on the overall design of that and maybe what the map author was thinking, because that looks rather awkward to get into. Got some more sell points down below, the spinnery and the barn. Another one of our grain sell points over here to our right. The shop is directly in front of us. Now, I did not see a maintenance trigger, a buy, sell, trade trigger at the shop. So I think you're going to be destined to have to make your equipment sell from your garage menu as opposed to bringing it to the shop, because I did not see a trigger there. And then down here we have our wood chip and log sell point. As a frame of reference, that is the starting farm right there. So down here at the shop, we do have our shop trigger, but again, we do not have a customized sell, repair, or trade trigger. Let's go ahead and get our Mahindra, and then we'll do a bit of a drive around. So you see where our vehicles spawn in at. We do have a large spawn area or potential spawn area, so we should be able to spawn in lots of large equipment. We do have big fields on this map, so we're probably going to want to be using some larger equipment. Something that we will be taking a look at as we drive around the map is going to be, are we going to be able to drive large equipment around this map? Sometimes map authors do not set the map up well for driving large equipment because there's narrow roads or narrow entries and exits to things like the shop. So I think what we'll do is go ahead and make a right turn here, and we'll go that particular direction. I think we have to basically double back by the main farm, head south between fields 28 and 29 to get down to the southern sell points. So guys, I am trying a couple of different record settings on this particular video. I would like to know what you all think of this particular video or the other video that I published earlier today with respect to how the video looks compared to, say, the 4K map videos that were released last week. So we do have some custom ground textures. Here we have a custom seeded texture. This field has wheat in it. There's also a different custom texture for planted corn. Let's see if this field happens to have that in it. It does indeed. So here we have a planted corn texture with the corn spacing. Here we have some custom ready to harvest soybeans, and I don't know about these. They look kind of, they kind of go along the same lines of the grass. It's just, I don't know. The map has some interesting things going for it, but then it's got some others that, again, it's just, I don't know. Right. We've got a rather interesting road texture here with some tire marks, some footprints. Again, maybe if we had some different grass going on. So here we are into one of our grain dump stations. Right here. As far as room to get a big trailer through here, I think that would probably work. This is a little bit of a tight corner here. Kind of an odd angle if we're trying to get a big semi-trailer out of there. Just thinking about those big fields, you're going to want to come through here with a big trailer, possibly doubles, maybe even a road train of trailers to get your harvest sold off. We'll head up to the next set of sell points. I believe this is going to be the spinnery. So here we have the spinnery, which is right here. Let's go ahead and pull up the trigger so you can see that. So there we have the spinnery. And then around back, we have the barn sell point. It would be nice if we did have some sort of trigger markers on those, especially the spinnery. It's just there, right? And here we have the animal dealer. We have our animal dealer right here. Again, we only have cows on the farm, so we only are offered to acquire cows. And then here we have that particularly interesting sell point that I mentioned from the sky. This dump station is kind of cattywampus, if you will, to the building and to the road. We got a tree here with a collision right smack dab in the middle of this ramp. So you're going to have to come on this ramp kind of, again, cattywampus, and then come off of it because we've got a power pole right here. So I just don't know what the person's in it. It's a grain mill. A grain mill. I mean, the way it's set up, you'd think, okay, this is where a dairy. This is where I bring my milk. But no, this is a grain mill. So this is not ideal. You'll be coming in here with a big trailer. There is no real angle to get in here. There's no angle to get out of here with anything big. You've got this field here, so even if you own that field, you play with crop destruction, you're not getting around that corner. So I just do not understand that particular design element. So yeah, as best I can remember from my precursor tour of this map, we're gonna have to double all the way back to the main farm to then drive south and then across the bottom of the map in order to get to the southern set of sell points. So here we are at the shop again. Let me just stop and look just to make sure. So we have, see this main road is to access a bunch of these fields, but that's about it. Now there is a dirt road spur going off here. Oh, okay. We could take this dirt road spur and head over there. So that's what we'll do. The road I was seeing continues on across the bottom here. then it goes up between 28 and 29, and then it goes past the main farm, and then up here to this area. Now we do have our sawmill up here that is not marked, so we probably should go up there just for the sake of seeing that from the drive around. Let's go ahead and look at this. This appears to be canola. We have some tall canola here. Now, I've never seen canola growing. I don't know how tall it really is. You know, if it should be taller or as tall as a person or not. I don't know, I just think if I was going to play on this map, I would have to change out the grass. I mean, I do like how the, what is this crop? This canola growing, okay. I do like how we've got these roads through here. You know, it's easy to miss these roads. Now you got to think, wouldn't the sawmill maybe be a bit more traveled to have this road beaten down a bit more? But yeah, so we've got our log sell point, which I believe is right here, and then our wood chip sell point, as best I can tell, is about in this general vicinity. Again, let's go ahead and pull up the trigger so we can see what I think is possibly the log sell point here and the wood chip sell point here, or the log sell point is here and the wood chip sell point is over there. Either way, neither is really well marked, so that could be definitely an area for improvement. See, went and completely missing the road because I'm just having a hard time seeing it with this weird, it's just weird overall grass texture going on. So one thing we did not look at, and let's just go ahead and take a look, is the animal feed requirements. So they are pretty standard fare there. And what the hey, let's just look at this. So I do have additional settings going on. I've got custom lighting off, right? So default lighting. And the grass is kind of interesting. Ravenport lighting is a bit more darker. Erlengrat is a little lighter. The arena map, and then off is that. So let's just do the rest of the tour in default. Although honestly I don't know what the difference between off and default is. Off would kind of maybe imply to me that I'm getting map lighting. Default would imply that I am overriding the custom map lighting for the base game lighting. Although the base game lighting is different than Ravenport's lighting, which is a little bit different than Fellsburn lighting. So again, this is the road that runs all the way down through the southern forest, at which point it makes a turn and runs across the southern edge of the map towards the southeast. And that's where we're going to get to the biogas plant. A fuel trigger. The only fuel trigger on the map is down here. So I think you're going to want to definitely put in a placeable fuel storage or fuel dispensary, if you will. And then I noticed this. I noticed a few of these trees. Right up there, we've got a very interesting tree. I'm going to try to get a camera view on it. This tree is really interesting. It's just a poor shape of a tree. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. I mean, that is just something is really wrong with that particular tree texture. I was seeing a few of those. I'm a little worried about loading this map up in seasons, seeing that tree look like it does. A little concerned what it might look like with seasons activated. We did see when seasons first came out for Farm Sim 19, we did see a fair bit of maps have very odd and interesting trees once season was activated because they were using non-standard Farm Sim 19 trees. We've got a tree in the middle of the field. I mean, I feel like I'm berating the map, but still. Now here we have that custom ground texture for the planted corn. Then we have our corn spacing, mostly spaced out to match the ground texture. It's a little bit off. We just passed that other road that comes down here and joins in here. And here we are. So we do have a lime pit, a bulk lime buy point down here. We have our BGA, we have our digestate out. We have our digester right there. We do have our large silage bunkers. We do have a trigger for these. Unlike the two bunkers down at the main cow farm, those do have triggers that come up. We have a grain sell point here. Although when I first was looking at this, I thought it was a root crop sell point, just based on the diagrams, but this is Dana small. So we take it here, Dana small. That's going to be most of our regular grain crops. And then the final thing we're going to take a look at here is the fuel trigger, which is right there. And again, we've got some misplaced light. I have a feeling that that security camera is supposed to be on that pole. Here we have a security camera. So maybe it's supposed to be mounted on the side of the building. But at any rate, so guys, that is SARUTOMASA. The map can be found over at the FarmingSimulator.com website or the in-game mod hub. And I've got to say, I think this is a wait until the map gets updated type of a map. I wouldn't suggest playing this right away. This map remotely interests you, I would advise waiting and just letting the map author update it. Fix those silage bunkers at the main farm, although you could just sell them and put in your own. And hopefully maybe fix some of these other particular things. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of the map? Think I'm being a little bit too harsh on the map or just about right? So until next time, happy farming.